YouTubers have
Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. We got a new one here for you. It's from a channel called The Rat Knows. I don't know if I've reacted to him before. I think I have. Oh god, I'm dropping things now, just great. But it's from a channel called The Rat Knows. This is YouTube's darkest scandals. And we gonna get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button, hit subscribe button, comment, think down below, let's go.
Some YouTubers have taken their thirst for views to shocking extremes. Careers have crumbled, reputations have burned, and lives have forever been changed, all for the sake of one silly viral moment. Today, we will be looking at YouTube's biggest and most disturbing scandals, the kind of scandals that had everyone talking and shook the platform like never before. Starting with Jack Doherty. On that specific night, the rain was coming down hard on Florida's turnpike, turning the highway into a giant slip and slide. Jack Doherty, a 20-year-old YouTuber famous for his crazy stunts and even crazier ideas,
And being an idiot, by what I've seen, Jack Doherty's not really liked by anyone by what I've seen. Is this the one where he gets into a car crash and doesn't even check on his driver, just checks to see if the guy's okay, like his car is okay? Like he could care less if his camera guy is okay, like he couldn't care less. Is that who this is?
was behind the wheel of his $200,000 McLaren 570S. Next to him sat his cameraman, Michael David, chatting and laughing like it was just another night. And, of course, Jack had his phone out, live streaming the whole thing for thousands of people on Kick, which was very typical of him. Now, here's the thing about driving a supercar in the rain. It's not exactly forgiving, but Jack wasn't focused on the road. No, his eyes kept darting back to his phone, checking the chat, soaking up the comments. People were hyping him up, throwing in challenges and begging for some action. Jack, always the entertainer, obliged. And then it happened. One moment the McLaren was gliding smoothly. The next, it was skidding out of control. Before anyone could react, the car slammed into the guardrail. The crunch of metal and the sound of shattering glass cut through the night air. The stream froze, and for a few seconds, there was nothing. When the stream came back, the McLaren was absolutely totaled. Jack stumbled out of the wreckage, his hands running through his hair like he was trying to wake up from a bad dream. Michael, though, wasn't so lucky. He had a nasty cut on his head, blood dripping down his face. You'd think this would be Jack's wake-up call. You'd think his first words would be about his friend, right? No. Oh my god, bro. My whole car. That's what Jack said.
Bro, my whole car, bro.
That's the thing, this is why I hate Jack Doherty. To be so selfish, so self-righteous, so narcissistic, that a guy gets into a car crash with you and you could care less about the guy in the crash with you, tells me everything I need to know about how fucking stupid you are. And you gon' get no respect from me or anything. You ain't getting nothing from me.
Bro, no way.
Over and over again, and people were not happy. Clips of the crash and Jack's reaction spread through the internet. Social media ripped him apart for caring more about his car than his injured cameraman. Even Kick, the platform hosting the stream, stepped in and banned him, saying, "We don't condone illegal activity." But here's where it gets even messier. A few days later, Jack tried to make things right, or at least look like he was trying. He posted a video on Instagram, surprising Michael with a shiny brand new jet ski as a way to say sorry. Michael, with stitches still fresh across his forehead, smiled and joked, "Guess it was worth it."
Okay, so I'm gonna assume, he, you know, the reason why that didn't help the matters because they was like, well, that's fake. Because ain't no way he's gonna be, the video would go up unless he was acting like, oh man, well, you're glad the accident was worth that, yeah. You not caring about me? Yeah, it's all worth it because I got a boat. Because that's not a normal person's reaction, is it? Normal person would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you selfish twat, you. But, obviously, you want to remain on Jack Doherty's channel, you want to keep getting paid if you're the cameraman, you're going to do that. You're going to just go with it to get your paycheck.
Back in 2014, YouTube was obsessed with pranks. It felt like every other video was some over-the-top stunt designed to shock or make people laugh. Or at least that was the goal. And right in the middle of it all was Sam Pepper, a British YouTuber with millions of fans who loved his edgy, in-your-face style. But then, in September of that year, Sam uploaded a video that didn't just push the envelope of what was acceptable on YouTube, it set it on fire. The video was called Fake Hand Ass Pinch Prank, and honestly, it started off like any other prank video. Sam was out on the streets, casually talking to random women, but here's the twist. He had this fake hand tucked into his hoodie, and while they were distracted, he'd use his real hand to pinch their butts. Yeah, that's it. The women, as you imagine, weren't thrilled. Some laughed nervously, others looked furious, and all of it was filmed, edited, and uploaded with upbeat music like this was supposed to be funny. It didn't take long for the—
Weirdly, there probably are people that find this funny. That's what makes this so fun. 2014? Oh yeah, there's probably people who are just like, this is hilarious. There are people who find pranks where you legitimately assault someone and be like, that's funny, that's a good prank. There are the stupid people out in the world. So there's probably people that find the thought of assaulting a woman without consent or inappropriately touching a woman without consent very funny. They probably find that hilarious. Probably shouldn't trust them around a woman. Probably shouldn't be, those people should probably not, I bet, don't never had a communication with a woman, but it's just the way it is. They're kind of all fucked up in that way.
The backlash to come in. People were furious, calling it out for what it was: harassment, plain and simple. The hashtag report Sam Pepper started trending, and Twitter was on fire. One tweet that summed up the vibe perfectly said, "With a pepper comes a saw," and honestly, a lot of people agreed. So what did Sam do? Well, instead of apologizing, he doubled down. A few days later, he posted another video, this time flipping the script. It featured a woman going around pinching men's butts in the same way. Sam called it a social experiment,
No fucking way did he do that. There was no way. He walked over to a butt. He was like, shit, they're giving me shit. How do I do this? How do I make it so it's okay? Oh, I got an idea. I'll just have a woman do it. There you go. Then now we'll be okay because it's not. It's better now that a woman does, and they'll be like, oh, and they'll be like, no. See, when I first, it was a social experiment. Now that I've done the second one, you understand, right? It was a social experiment. It wasn't an extra video. It was always planned. Always planned. See, now I'm good, right? Everything's good. Everything's okay. We're all fine, right?
Highlight double standards around harassment, and for a hot second, it looked like he might be trying to make a point. But then things took another turn. People started poking holes in the video, questioning if it was even real. That's when Sam came clean and admitted the whole thing was fake. Both videos were staged with actors. If you're thinking that a confession might have helped him out, no. It only made things worse. Fellow YouTubers started speaking out, and one of the loudest voices was Lacey Green, who posted a response video called Sam Pepper Exposed. In it, she didn't just call him out, she tore his argument apart. She even wrote an open letter demanding accountability, and over 100,000 people signed it. And then, just when it seemed like the backlash couldn't get any worse, it did. Women started coming forward with their own stories about Sam, accusing him of inappropriate behavior.
Really? Are we surprised by this? Are we surprised by this? Really?
Including some pretty serious allegations like soliciting explicit photos from minors. While Sam denied everything and no legal charges were ever filed, the damage was done. His career tanked. Sponsors dropped him. Fans unsubscribed in droves. By the end of it, Sam Pepper went from one of YouTube's rising stars to one of his biggest failures.
Oh, I know this one. I know this one way too well. Fuck it. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Fucking hell.
Back in 2017, family vlog channels were everywhere on YouTube. You had parents filming everything from school runs to silly pranks, all in the name of wholesome family fun. And for a while, the Daddy05 channel seemed like just another one of those top channels with parents Mike and Heather Martin messing around with their 5 kids, racking up millions of views in the process. But if you watch closely, it didn't take long to realize something about this channel was off. And in 2017, it all came crashing down. In one of the most infamous videos, Mike accused his youngest son, Cody, of spilling ink on the carpet. Cody standing there, looking absolutely terrified, swearing up and down that he didn't do it. But Mike's yelling gets louder, and Heather jumps in, piling on. Cody starts crying, his little face crumpling under the pressure, and then, boom. It's all a joke, except Cody's tears weren't fake. This wasn't a one-off either. More videos came out where the kids, especially Cody, were screamed at, shoved.
This is the thing. They'll probably mention this, but my urge to speak doesn't help. I think they started targeting him, if my memory's correct, because he would react. Which a few of them stopped reacting, so they stopped being put in there, but he always reacts, so they doubled down on doing shit to him.
Or humiliated on camera. There was a clip where Cody was pushed into a bookshelf, another where Mike and Heather encouraged him to slap his sister Emma while everyone laughed. To the Martins, this was all just good fun. To everyone else, it looked a lot like bullying disguised as entertainment. And then, in April 2017, YouTuber Philip DeFranco stepped in and blew the whole thing wide open. In a viral video, he didn't hold back, calling out the Martins for exploiting their kids while putting them through emotional abuse. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. People were horrified. At first, Mike and Heather tried to defend themselves. They put out a video claiming the kids were in on the jokes and that it was all a game. But the backlash only got worse, especially...
Yeah, you don't get... No, I don't buy the children are involved. The children are not pitching the ideas or anything. The children are just there for your entertainment.
Especially after more clips surfaced. Viewers saw Cody sobbing, Emma being shoved, and both kids caught in these high-stress situations while their parents laughed behind the camera. Eventually, authorities got involved, and that's when things really hit the fan. After an investigation, Cody and Emma were removed from Mike and Heather's custody and placed with their biological mom, Rose Hall. Rose later said the kids had been living in fear, never knowing what prank was coming next. In court, Mike and Heather pleaded guilty to child neglect, and they were sentenced to 5 years of probation. Oh, and their YouTube channel was completely shut down.
As it fucking should be. As it should be. Well, we know about Austin Jones. We know about Austin Jones. If you're living on the rock, you'll learn about him, but this guy is just a fucked up individual.
Back in the mid-2010s, Austin Jones was living the dream, or at least that's what it looked like from the outside. He was this YouTuber with a soft voice and a knack for a cappella covers of emo and pop-punk songs. And his fans adored him, mostly teenage girls. They saw him as approachable, sweet, and, most importantly, someone who understood them. Then, in June of that year, he was suddenly arrested at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. Turns out, he had been using his platform, his charm, and his connection with fans to manipulate underage girls, with some being as young as 14, into sending him explicit videos. The news was absolutely devastating for his fans. This was the same guy
Then he made a shitty apology, which is not surprised, that's what they do.
who sang heartfelt covers and was now facing charges of producing child porn. He would achieve this by reaching out to his fans directly through private messages.
Hold on, did he call it child corn? Did I hear that right?
And was now facing charges of producing child porn. He would
Yes, he did. Okay, that's hilarious get around. That's funny. Child corn.
achieve this by reaching out to his fans directly through private messages. At first, it was all compliments and flattery, the kind of thing that made them feel special. But then, he started asking for videos. Not just any videos though, specific explicit ones. He'd tell these girls it was a way to prove they were his biggest fans. Sometimes he'd even send them instructions, how to dance, what to wear, what to say. And they trusted him enough to go along with it. I mean, why wouldn't they? To them, he was someone they looked up to. The investigation uncovered at least 6
The fact of that, this is, I don't want to say common, but it's happens more than it should, where people use their popularity and their connection with younger viewers to do awful things, and it's so insulting and despicable that people do it.
cases where Jones coerced minors into sending these videos. And on top of that, there were dozens of other attempts. It wasn't a one-off or a mistake. This was a pattern, a deliberate abuse of the power he had over his audience.
So if we just keep talking, I'm probably gonna...
It's hard to even wrap your head around it. Then the story broke. The backlash was immediate. Fans who had once idolized him were heartbroken. They couldn't believe the person they had supported was capable of something so horrific. And the YouTube community were already reeling from other controversies, but this one felt like a whole new level of betrayal. By February 2019, the evidence against Jones was overwhelming, and he pleaded guilty to 1 count of receipt of child pornography. A few months later, he was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison, and he remains behind bars till this day. Mona Lisa Perez and her boyfriend,
This guy's an idiot. I don't want to say there are people stupid enough that deserve to have bad shit happen to them. Because these two have kids, so like those kids do not deserve. But if these two didn't have kids, this guy deserves what happened. How stupid do you have to be to do what these two did? You have to be a certain level stupid that's almost next level. Like levels to this shit amount of stupidity. Because any human with common sense just doesn't do this. Doesn't participate in this. But both of these two somehow did. And it led to a bad result. And I have no sympathy.
Pedro Ruiz III have been grinding away on their YouTube channel, posting stunts and pranks in the hopes of building an audience. Like so many others on the platform, they wanted to be famous and make it big. But in June 2017, one stunt went tragically wrong, and their dream of internet stardom turned into a nightmare. Here's how it happened. Pedro had this idea, a stunt that, in his mind, was foolproof. The plan was that Mona Lisa would shoot a .50 caliber Desert Eagle pistol at an encyclopedia he was holding against his chest.
And they're mixed with, it's obviously not all real gold.
Pedro was convinced that the book would stop the bullet. He'd even done a test run on another book to show Mona Lisa it was safe. She wasn't so sure. She was just 19 and pregnant with their second child. She hesitated and told him she didn't want to do it, but Pedro kept insisting. It's fine, he reassured her. Trust me, nothing's going to happen. So...
No. Just don't do it. You could say, if you're going to do this, I'm not the one shooting you. I'm not doing it. I'm not shooting you. I refuse. I'm not taking the risk. You just don't take the risk. You could say no to doing it. There's no amount of he's like, I'm like, you're asking me to shoot you. I'm like, no, the book was, I'm like, no, there's a 50-50 chance it does. There's the other chance where it kills you, and I'm not taking that risk.
With the camera set up and rolling, and their 3-year-old daughter watching nearby, Mona Lisa gave in. She picked up the gun, aimed it at the thick book in Pedro's hands, and pulled the trigger. The sound of the shot echoed, and for a second, everything seemed still. Then, Pedro collapsed. The bullet had gone straight through the book and into his chest. He didn't stand a chance. Mona Lisa panicked, grabbing her phone and calling 911. Her voice was frantic as she tried to explain. It was a YouTube prank. He wanted me to do it, but it was too late. Pedro died before paramedics could get to the scene. And just like that, a stunt meant to bring them fame had ended in tragedy. Mona Lisa was charged with second-degree manslaughter. In court, she pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 180 days in jail, along with a lifetime ban on owning firearms. But no jail sentence or punishment could compare to what she had already lost. Pedro was gone, and their family was left to pick up the pieces.
I literally, under no circumstance, could have sympathy for her. Because I'd be like, you just couldn't have done it. Unless it's revealed that he was the most manipulative and she's the most easily swayed human being. Nah, you can't convince me that this was something that could not have been avoided. If any of them used this thing called common fucking sense.
At first glance, Fantastic Adventures seemed...
I know this one too. This one is disturbing at a whole new level. This one is so disturbing that I think, this is one of the most screwed up... I think this is the most screwed up family-related channel that's ever existed.
Seemed like one of those feel-good YouTube success stories. The channel featured 7 adorable siblings going on over-the-top scripted adventures with colorful costumes and quirky storylines. It was wholesome, creative, and pulled in over 800,000 subscribers. The woman behind it all, Michelle Hobson, had turned her adopted kids into internet stars. But in March 2019, the truth came out and it was far darker than anyone could have imagined. Hobson's biological daughter called the police, saying her adopted siblings were being abused. When officers showed up at Hobson's home in Maricopa, Arizona, what they found was horrifying. The kids were pale, underweight, and visibly scared. But it wasn't just neglect. The stories they told were almost too cruel to believe. According to the kids, Hobson had been punishing them in brutal ways if they forgot their lines or didn't want to film. We're talking about pepper spray in the face, ice baths, and locking them in a closet for days with no food or water. One child even said Hobson would hit them with belts, hangers, or whatever was nearby when she was angry, and all of this was just to keep the channel running smoothly, to make sure those happy, bubbly videos kept bringing in viewers and ad revenue. The worst part was how none of this was visible on screen. The kids smiled, they laughed, they played their parts like professionals, even as their real lives were a nightmare behind the scenes. Viewers who adored the channel had no idea, and when the news broke, fans were stunned. How could something so cheerful and fun have been hiding something so sinister? When the details came out, YouTube acted quickly. They demonetized Fantastic Adventures, cutting off Hobson's income, and eventually removed the channel entirely. But for a lot of people, it felt like YouTube's response came too late. This channel had been active for years. How did...
No, you can't blame YouTube for this. There's no way YouTube would know this is happening. Someone being like YouTube didn't responded too late. Yeah, no because they just found out what the was going on like the rest of us did. YouTube's not sending people to watch and check if the family channel is all run happy-go-lucky. They're not doing that. Because obviously. So like, why don't get... YouTube has no fault in this.
No one take notice. In 2017, one of the children involved in Hobson's videos was seen running naked through the neighborhood, raising suspicion among the neighbors as to some sort of impropriety. According to the Arizona Department of Child Safety, Hobson was investigated by DCS on 9 separate occasions, but no definitive evidence of abuse was found.
I'm not surprised by that. DCS probably was like, hey, you abusing them? And she was like, nope. And they're like, well, what do you want us to do? Can't do much with that, so... Yeah, no, that's weird.
Hobson was charged with 24 counts of child abuse, 5 counts of...
I'm not surprised, though, the DCS never... Family services, child services never just really want to get involved until it's already too late.
Kidnapping, and 1 count of aggravated assault. The charges would have kept her behind bars for decades, but she never made it to trial. In November 2019, she died of health complications, leaving behind a mess of unanswered questions and a group of kids who'd endured more than anyone their age ever should.
I hope all those children are doing alright. I hope they're living successful lives. I hope they're doing great. I bet they never go on YouTube, though. I bet they never even go on the, like, anything, because, like, all they see is they go on that platform knowing they were used as just, like, pawns for a YouTube channel.
In December 2011, Slovenia was buzzing with pre-election tension. It was the kind of political season where every little thing could tip the scales, but then, just one day before the vote, something happened that flipped the entire country on its head. Out of nowhere, 3 confidential government recordings showed up on YouTube. They were uploaded by some anonymous account called Stari Obrazi, which means old faces, and
I've never heard of this one. This is a new one for me.
let me tell you, these weren't just any random clips. The recordings were from behind-the-scenes government meetings, supposedly locked away and only accessible to a select few. And these weren't your run-of-the-mill discussions either. They covered sensitive topics like EU pressure over Croatia's membership, pay for judges, and even plans to buy water cannons for the police. You can imagine how these topics hitting the internet, especially right before an election, were received around the country. The big question, of course, was how did these recordings even make it online? This was high-level stuff, the kind of thing you think would be locked up tighter than a bank vault. The fact that it leaked at all was wild, but the timing, right before an election, felt deliberate. People started speculating immediately. Was the sabotage a political hit job, or was something deeper, more shadowy at play? Some even started throwing around the term parallel state, like there were hidden forces in the government pulling strings from the shadows. The leaks spread fast. People shared the videos.
Is it the reveal going to be that they were fake, or is it going to be a case like what's the reveal here?
dissected every word and debated what it all meant. Candidates had to scramble to respond, and the entire conversation shifted overnight. Instead of focusing on policies and campaigns, everyone was talking about these videos, and YouTube, of all places, had become the center of Slovenia's political drama. Even now, the 2011 Slovenian YouTube incident stands out as one of the country's biggest scandals. It wasn't just about what was said in those meetings, it was about how vulnerable the system was, how easily classified information could be weaponized, and how a single platform like YouTube could shake an entire political landscape.
So wait, there was no reveal, there was no who did it, there was nothing, so it was just these three things got out and it just turned into hellfire and no one was held, like no one knows what happened. That's amazing.
It started like
Vigilante shit going on.
any other Nicole Arbor video. High energy, a little sarcastic, and definitely not afraid to ruffle some feathers. But in September 2015, she posted a video called Dear Fat People, and let's say it didn't go the way she probably thought it would. In the video, Nicole spent 6 minutes cracking jokes about overweight people, saying things like fat people made up fat shaming. It's like the race card with no race. She made fun of slow-moving people in airports and even joked about how they wouldn't be able to chase her. The whole thing was supposed to be funny, but for a lot of people, it just felt cruel. The backlash hit almost.
That'd be like me just making a whole video titled Dear Dipshits. Actually, no, because that'd be funny, because people call it dipshits. You only know that will just reveal the dipshits, because if I address dipshits, and they respond, that's and insulted, that's even more funny, because that means they identify as dipshits, which is even more funny. Okay, now I kind of want to do that. I'm not going to, but I kind of want to.
Immediately, viewers flooded the comments, calling her out for being mean-spirited and dressing up bullying as humor. Even plus-size model Ashley Graham weighed in, calling the video disgusting. And honestly, that was the general vibe. People weren't just mad, they were hurt. But it didn't stop there. The controversy started spilling into Nicole's professional life. Pat Mills, a film director who was considering hiring her as a choreographer for his movie, Don't Talk to Irene, saw the video and immediately dropped her. He called it cruel and said it had no place in a project about uplifting people. Now, Nicole didn't back down. She went on The View and other interviews, saying the video was meant to be satire and wasn't supposed to offend anyone. "I make fun of everyone," she said, as if that would somehow make it okay. For most people, the video had crossed a line.
That's that's as dumb as a line of some racist being like, well, I know people from different races, so I'm not racist. It's not offensive, I offend other people too, so you can't be offended by it. Stupid.
And no amount of explaining could undo it. For Nicole, it was a joke, but it ended as a career-defining moment, and not the way she probably hoped. At just 19 years old, Kenghua Ren, better known as Reset, had built a following of over 1 million subscribers, thanks to his edgy pranks and outrageous content, but that year, one video would take things just too far. The idea came from a follower. Take a pack of Oreos, swap the cream filling with toothpaste, and then give it to someone. Harmless fun, right? Well, not exactly. For the prank, Reset chose a homeless man named George, living on the streets of Barcelona, as his target. He filmed himself preparing the cookies, spreading a thick layer.
I would have, if you're going to do it to someone, give it to someone. If you're going to do that joke, give it to someone that you know who will actually eat it. Be like, hey, I want to do a prank where I give someone Oreo and it has toothpaste. And would you eat toothpaste? Would you take the risk of eating it? And they're like, yeah. Then they go, you got your prank video, because they can act surprised. Why would you give it to a homeless dude who will have no idea what's going on and just wants food? That's so fucked up.
Layer of white toothpaste where the cream should be, and laughing at how real they looked. In the video, Reset approaches George and hands him the doctored cookies, along with a €20 note.
Tiene un poco de hambre, también le doy esto. Esto le ayudará a limpiarse.
George, grateful for the gesture, ate the cookies on camera while Reset chuckled in the background. Moments later, the man began to feel sick and eventually vomited. Instead of showing remorse, Reset joked to his audience, "Maybe I've gone too far, but hey, at least his teeth will be clean. He probably hasn't brushed them since becoming poor." It didn't take long for the internet to turn on Reset. The video was met with outrage, with viewers calling his action dehumanizing and downright inhumane. People flooded his channel with criticism, and the video was reported countless times. Spanish authorities also took notice, and soon, Reset found himself facing serious charges. In June 2019, a court in Barcelona convicted Reset of violating the moral integrity of his victim. The judge sentenced him to 15 months in prison and ordered him to pay George 20,000 euros in compensation. On top of that, he was banned from YouTube and all other social media platforms for 5 years, though his prison sentence was likely to be suspended under Spanish law, since it was his first offense and the crime was non-violent. The damage to his reputation was irreversible.
That's insane, man. That is insane.
On a brisk evening in early 2024, Mr. Beast uploaded yet another heartwarming video, this time helping strangers pay off their medical debts. His audience of millions flooded the comments sections with praise, calling him a real-life superhero and the most generous man on the planet. For years, this has been the narrative surrounding Mr. Beast, who had somehow managed to harness the enormous power of YouTube to do good in the world. But behind the immaculate veneer of million-dollar giveaways and acts of charity, a storm was brewing. It began as a whisper on social media, an unconfirmed post alleging misconduct behind the scenes at Mr. Beast's empire. The claims were easy to dismiss at first. After all, what superstar hasn't dealt with the occasional disgruntled former employee? But in July 2024, the whispers turned into something louder when a former collaborator, using the handle DogPack404, released a video. In it, he
So, okay, here's the issue with this. Mr. Beast and others easily debunked this to an insane degree. This guy really has no actual claims to this, because most of the allegations were easily debunked by Mr. Beast.
alleged that Mr. Beast's iconic giveaways like the houses, cars, and cash were far from what they seemed. Contestants were allegedly pressured to return their winnings after cameras stopped rolling, sometimes in exchange for a smaller payout or merchandise. The accusations didn't stop there. DogPack404 also alleged that certain lottery-style contests hosted by Mr. Beast's team violated legal guidelines. While sweepstakes are common on YouTube, they must adhere to strict rules about transparency and access, rules he claimed were sometimes skirted in favor of creating more dramatic content. Mr. Beast's team swiftly denied these allegations, issuing a public statement that called the claims misleading and harmful to the work we do. On the topic of fake giveaways, Mr. Beast called the accusations crazy and offered refunds to anyone who felt misled. Mr. Beast also addressed his potential lawsuit against DogPack404, stating, "Every law firm I've talked to says this will be the easiest win." The YouTube star emphasized his commitment to transparency, ending the interview with a pledge to maintain trust with his audience. Then, just as the controversy was beginning to fade, another bombshell dropped. Chris Tyson, a longtime collaborator and prominent face in Mr. Beast's videos, was accused of inappropriate behavior with a minor. Screenshots circulated online, showing unsettling private messages from Tyson. The fallout was immediate and severe. Tyson was quickly removed from all Mr. Beast-related projects, issuing a statement that read, "I am stepping away because I refuse to let my personal mistakes harm the incredible work this team does." But the internet was not so forgiving. Critics questioned how such behavior could go unchecked in a company known for its rigorous brand management. For Mr. Beast, who had built his empire on trust and relatability, it was...
In fairness, also, I don't think he ever actually commented on this. I think this is where he becomes the bad guy. He never commented on this, to my knowledge. I could be wrong, though. I don't think he's ever commented.
a bitter pill to swallow. "I'm disgusted," Jimmy said in a rare person.
Oh, he literally actually did. Okay, never mind. I'm a fucking liar. I just missed this. Okay. Over the last few days, I've become aware of the serious allegations of Avery Tyson's behavior online. I'm disgusted and oppose such unacceptable acts. During that time, I've been focused on hiring an independent third party to conduct a thorough investigation to ensure I have all the facts. That said, I'm seeing enough online taking immediate action to remove Ava from the company, my channel, and any association with Mr. Beast. I do not condone or suspect any of the inappropriate actions. I will allow the independent investigators the necessary time to conduct a comprehensive investigation and will take further action based on their findings.
Personal statement addressing the allegations. I would never condone such behavior, and we're taking steps to ensure this never happens again. Despite his swift action, the scandal left a mark, with many questioning the ethics of an operation that had once seemed untouchable. But the biggest controversy was yet to come. In September 2024, participants from Beast Games, a high-profile competition series hosted on Amazon, filed a class action lawsuit. The lawsuit alleged unsafe working conditions, including contestants.
This was one that I was like, okay, if this is an actual lawsuit by multiple people, this can't fully be just easily debunked, right? Because, like, there's no way this amount of people would be wrong, right? Like, there's no way this amount of people would just do this for no reason.
Since being forced to endure harsh environments without adequate breaks. More disturbingly, several participants came forward with claims of sexual harassment and bullying by production staff. It felt like we were just props, one former contestant shared anonymously. The show cared more about getting a dramatic reaction than our well-being. The lawsuit also accused the production of mismanaging funds and failing to pay promised wages, allegations that painted a different picture of the Mr. Beast brand. In an effort to quell the growing backlash, Jimmy sat down for a 2-hour interview with fellow YouTuber Oompaville. He addressed each controversy head-on, denying knowledge of any illegal activities and pledging to improve oversight within his team. "I'm not perfect," he admitted, visibly uncomfortable, "but I built this company to do good, and that's still my mission."
I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. Even though I've done this, like this thing here, and we're addressing a lot of things, like, I'm sure in the future I'll make more mistakes as well.
For years, viewers had trusted creators like Jimmy Donaldson to uphold the authenticity that traditional celebrities often lacked. But the revelations of 2024 served as proof that even the most seemingly transparent stars operate within a tightly controlled narrative.
Yeah, this is that one I can't fully because I can't buy that that's fully fake. That's untrue. Like, that all the accusations, because it can't be. So many people can't make that accusation all be lying. Like, it can't be.
The streets of Casal Palocco, a quiet suburb on the outskirts of Rome, were filled with the usual hustle of life on an early summer afternoon in June 2023. Families were out for walks, neighbors chatted by their gates, and a faint breeze rustled through the trees, but then came the roar of an engine, cutting through the calm like a knife. It was a Lamborghini Urus, sleek, powerful, and dangerously out of place in the suburban streets. At the wheel was Matteo Di Pietro, a 20-year-old YouTuber and leader of the group The Borderline, accompanied by 3 friends, all filming a challenge that had captivated their 600,000 subscribers, a 50-hour driving marathon. The challenge was meant to be harmless, just another stunt to draw views and boost engagement. Di Pietro and his crew weren't doing anything out of the ordinary for their channel. They specialized in audacious, sometimes borderline reckless challenges, but this time, their ambition crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. At an intersection, as the Urus barreled down the road, a small, unassuming Smart 4.4 approached from the opposite direction. Inside was 5-year-old Manuel Proetti, his mother, and his younger sister, returning from what should have been an ordinary errand. Suddenly, the Lamborghini seemed to appear out of nowhere, its speed too fast for the narrow suburban streets. The crash, when it came, was catastrophic. The Smart 4.4 didn't stand a chance against the hulking SUV. The impact crushed the smaller car, leaving a trail of wreckage that stopped neighbors in their tracks. As the dust settled, the scene was one of chaos and devastation. Manuel's mother and sister were pulled from the wreck, injured but alive. But Manuel himself was lifeless in the back seat. His small body, so full of life moments before, had been crushed in an instant. Di Pietro and his friends emerged from the Lamborghini, dazed and unharmed, their camera equipment still intact. The recording, meant to document a thrilling challenge, had inadvertently captured the worst moment of their lives. As emergency services arrived, the crew reportedly stood in shock, their bravado stripped away in the face of what they had done. The news of Manuel's death spread quickly, igniting outrage across Italy and beyond. Matteo Di Pietro was arrested, and toxicology reports later revealed that he had tested positive for cannabinoids. The charges were vehicular homicide. A child is dead because of their reckless need for attention. By January 2024, Di Pietro stood before a Rome court, pleading guilty to the charges. His sentencing of 4 years and 4 months angered many, who felt it was far too lenient for the loss of a young life. The judge cited Di Pietro's youth and lack of prior convictions in granting him alternative measures to imprisonment.
Oh yes, I know this one.
The patio at YouTube's headquarters in San Bruno, California, was alive with the usual lunchtime chatter on April 3, 2018. For the lively campus of one of the internet's most powerful companies, it was an ordinary day until
I would love to go into YouTube headquarters. I would just love to see what's like in there.
it wasn't. Just before 1 p.m., a figure emerged from the parking garage, moving purposefully towards the outdoor dining area. Nassim Najafi Agdam, a 38-year-old content creator, walked into the heart of YouTube's campus armed with a 9mm handgun. Without saying a word, she raised the weapon and opened fire. The sound of gunshots tore through the air, shattering the peaceful lunchtime atmosphere. Employees scrambled to escape, overturning tables and chairs in their panic. Some ran for the exits while others sought refuge inside the building, barricading doors as the chaos unfolded. 3 people were struck by the gunfire. One man, hit in the abdomen, collapsed to the ground, bleeding profusely as colleagues desperately tried to stop the flow of blood with their jackets. 2 women were also injured, one struck in the leg, the other in the arm. The courtyard, once filled with laughter, now echoed with screams. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it was over. Agdam turned the gun on herself, collapsing lifeless near the patio's edge. When the police arrived minutes later, the scene was quiet. Officers moved cautiously through the campus, unsure if the shooter was still active. It wasn't until they found Agdam's body that the true nature of the attack began to take shape. In her hand was the pistol. Nearby lay her phone and a handwritten note. Agdam was a YouTube creator who had built a modest following through videos that ranged from fitness tips to animal rights activism, but in recent years, she had grown disillusioned with the platform, accusing it of systematically suppressing her content. On her personal website, she claimed that YouTube's algorithms had demonetized her videos, slashing her earnings and views. There is no equal growth opportunity on YouTube. Your channel grows only if they want it to, she wrote in one post. For Agdam, YouTube.
Unfortunately, that's sort of true. Sort of. I do think there are some channels just that are way too insane that YouTube just won't even give the chance to promote, to get big. I do think there are those channels. Do I think she's one of them? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt there's anything she did that made YouTube go, yeah, we'll make sure you never succeed. Like, I doubt it.
Wasn't just a hobby. It was her livelihood, her identity, and her primary connection to the world. When that connection was severed, she spiraled into isolation and despair. Her grievances festered in silence until they exploded in violence. Family members later revealed that Agdam had been consumed by her frustrations with YouTube. Her father, in an interview, said she had spoken frequently about the platform ruining her life. In the days leading up to the shooting, she vanished from her family home in San Diego, driving more than 500 miles to the Bay Area without telling anyone. Her father, concerned for her safety, reported her missing. When some policemen located her sleeping in her vehicle in a parking lot just hours before the attack, they had no idea she was the one and let her go.
Hi, are you Nassim? Hey, so you were reported as missing. Yeah, as missing from San Diego?
What she didn't tell them was that her rage had driven her to plan the unthinkable. The man critically injured in the attack underwent multiple surgeries, and YouTube's employees, many of whom barricaded themselves in conference rooms and closets that day, carried the trauma of the attack long after the headlines faded.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.